people, achievers, high achievers that have grabbed onto this principle have made a fortune out of literally planting seed into the right soil. So principle number 1.
Welcome back to 5 Ideas. It's so awesome having you here at the table with us. And today's a very special episode where we're talking about a category that actually hits all 5 of our idea categories, and it is the power of a seed. Rich, let's talk a little bit about the seed and why it's so important.
Power of the seed, absolutely. Of course, we know that a seed is a seed, one little seed, right? But when it goes into the ground, a harvest can come. So the principle of the seed is this: you hold on to one and you have one, or you plant it, or we could say in the business world, invest it, or in the world of charity, generosity, and it multiplies and comes up and gives you quite a return on investment.
Yeah,
That's
so
the principle of the seed.
It's simple. A seed seems worthless. And it, like Rich said, it'd be like, I don't want to dog on saving money or anything like that, but saving versus investing. If you're just saving, like if you have all your seed and you're just saving it all, and then you're eating seed soup every night,
Right.
Instead, maybe because you're afraid that you might lose your seeds.
Yeah.
Oh, I found a seed. I better keep that one in case I lose it. Oh, I found another seed. I better keep it in case I lose it. But you're saying if you plant it
Yep.
or invest it into the ground,
Yep.
and let all the other things come, like the rain and the soil and all that stuff, you're going to get more than enough, more than you started with. Then you can take those seeds and plant them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That is, and it's a powerful principle because it's designed, it's really a law, the law of seed time and harvest. You don't plant, you don't reap a harvest.
Absolutely.
When you plant, you reap a harvest. So it's a law. It's a physical law of the universe. And so people, achievers, high achievers that have grabbed onto this principle have made a fortune out of literally planting seed into the right soil. So principle number 1, what is the soil?
Right.
Principle number 2 is if you plant an apple seed, you get what?
An apple tree.
There you go. So, proactively, whatever kind of harvest you want. I tell people this all the time. Okay, here we go.
Yep.
We're talking about all categories,
Yep,
right?
all 5.
I tell people this in relationships. People come say, I just don't have enough friends. Oh, okay. What kind of friend are you? What kind of friend are you? Because if you are a friend, if you're reaching out to people, you'll have many friends.
Absolutely.
But if you're sitting back waiting for the harvest to come to you, what seed have you planted? Have you planted seeds into certain relationships? Now, along the planting way, are you going to plant into some soil that won't reap? Yeah, you're going to. But get over it and go plant another seed. Sooner or later, it's going to land and you're going to have a harvest and you're going to be glad you did.
It's like when it comes time to move. Say you've helped 6 of your friends move. Now when you call on them, maybe not everyone has that kind of integrity, but a lot of times there's that reciprocity where they gave me something, I want to give them something back. So say you've helped 6 people move.
Yeah.
Now it's time for you to move and you reach out to a couple friends.
Yeah.
I pretty much can guarantee you that some of those people will help you move. But say you've helped no one move and people have asked you.
Yeah.
They've been like, hey, I really need some help to move. And you're always the person that says, hey, can't be there. Sorry, busy. Sorry, can't do it.
Yeah. Right.
You may not have people wanting to help
Yeah.
you. You may, because there's planters out there that may want to, but that's a practical relational type of example.
It is. It is. So I'm going to share a story.
Okay, let's go.
That's pretty crazy. Before I do, can I just do this real quick?
Yeah.
This is our new book that Joey and I wrote called iToots, and you can get it on Amazon.
Yes.
And this book is so practical and so helpful. And we talk about things like you can choose success, you can control your happiness, you can defend your dreams, you can connect with your soul, you can elevate your perspective. And go to Amazon and pick up our book. Anything to say on the book?
This is a seed that we're sowing. We know that we can't have this conversation with every single person in person, but we knew that we could write the thoughts down here
Yeah.
and sow this seed all across the globe.
Okay.
And now people can,
Okay. I love
people can have this planted. And these are principles that have been planted in Rich
Yeah.
and in myself as well. And things that have been planted in Rich that have produced these harvests. These are the harvests that we're expecting. We're expecting the seed from this book going into your mind, the good ground, and you're able to choose success. That's one harvest. Control your happiness, another harvest. Defend your dreams, another harvest. Connect with your soul, another harvest. Elevate your perspective, another harvest. It's on Amazon. We'll link it in the description. But this is some seed that we're sowing right now into the ground, and you can take this same seed, sow it into yourself, and reap these 5 harvests.
Yeah.
So back to the show.
Here's a story real quick. So years ago, my wife and I were pastors, and we're pastoring in a church. We have a missionary from Costa Rica come over. He probably hadn't been on a vacation in 2-3 years, and he just looked tired and he looked weary. You know how sometimes you get an impression, something's on your heart that you want to do something for somebody? And it was just like, we need to do something for him. So we looked at our checkbook. We didn't have a lot in it, but we wrote a pretty good sized check, specifically for his vacation. And in all honesty, that's the only reason why we did it. I wasn't even thinking about seed. I was just like, I want to help this guy out. And we felt really, really good about it. But here's what happened. About 8 months later, in the summertime, a gentleman in my church came up to me and he says, I've got a cabin that we don't use in the month of August. You and your family are more than welcome to go up there on a private lake.
Wow.
So every year for 4 years, my family and I recalibrated. The summer sports schedule is over, and we would go up into this beautiful wooded area in a private lake, and we would just literally recalibrate as a family and be strengthened. And he said, just enjoy it. And I can even tell you, even after that, how many vacations we received because of a gift. Somebody would come and say, hey, my timeshare, I can't make it this year. Actually, a couple times to Hawaii even.
Wow.
So what am I saying? I'm simply saying this. When you plant a seed, you never know how often that harvest is going to just keep coming. And for us in the area of vacations, it seemed like it just was the gift that never stopped giving back to us. And I say that not to say go do something because you want something. You know, when you give from a heart of generosity, it just comes back because that's the law of the seed.
That's true. But it's also there. I agree with that. Don't give to get.
Mm-hmm.
Don't give just to get. Like there's already a reward in just giving.
There is.
And there is something to be said about expecting.
Yes.
You should expect a harvest.
Well, these farmers in this area don't plant seed in the ground and not expect.
Exactly. They wouldn't just go out and labor all day with no expectation of a crop coming up. So there is something to be said about expectation of a harvest.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times I think that's where things can get lost even when people are planting seeds.
Mm-hmm.
They might be getting harvest that they're not even thankful for because they don't recognize it as a harvest.
Mm-hmm.
They're just like, why is this happening? Why is this good thing happening? They don't recognize it as a harvest. They just recognize it maybe as random chance or luck or whatever you'd call it. But so we just talked about relationships. We talked about a little bit about relationships, but how could say somebody in their marriage they want to reap a healthy relationship.
Mm-hmm.
So looking at the way it's all set up, you said you've got seed, you've got good ground, and you've got kind of the elements that are outside of our control, like the in farming, you've got rain and sun and wind and weather and all that stuff that's outside of our control. In a relationship, the ground I'm thinking would be your spouse, and then you have the ability to plant. The seed.
And I think of it in relationships, I think of it in fruit. So what is the fruit that I'm looking to have a harvest in? Okay? The Bible says that the fruit of the Spirit, love, joy, peace, patience, right? Let's just go right there.
Perfect.
The list goes on. But in my relationship with my wife, if I want love, I sow love. I sow a seed of love. I want patience, I sow the seed of patience. I want joy, I sow the seed of joy. And guaranteed it works
Let's go to patience. That one really hit me. How do you sow patience?
by being patient. By being patient. By going overboard with patience even when you don't feel like it, and you're just patient and patient and patient. What that does is it puts a seed in a person's heart, and it comes back at you.
Wow. Yeah. You want patience, you sow patience. And if you're saying this is oh man. This just hit me. What if you're like, I'm not patient. I don't want to be patient with my wife. She's never patient with me. That's you expecting a harvest before you've planted seed.
There you go.
You're expecting corn to raise up and you never planted corn. If you're expecting your spouse to be patient with you before you're patient with them, it's ridiculous. You've never planted patience, so you should not be expecting to receive patience as a harvest. Now, they could make the choice to be the one to plant it,
Sure.
but you're not in control of what they plant.
Yeah.
You're not in control of what they're saying.
Yeah.
Would that be an accurate assessment?
Yeah, I think so. And here's another thing too, is that sowing can be enjoyable in and of itself. And like you were saying, so, and the more you sow, the more continual harvests that you have.
Right.
So if you're sowing patience and you don't see it right away, then sow love. And if you don't see it right away, sow joy. Pretty soon, patience is going to pop up, and then love's going to pop up, and then joy's going to pop up. And we're just speaking relationally.
Yep.
But economically, we know that the more seeds that we sow in terms of investment, the more investments that are there. And here's what people do too much. You started out with this. They eat their seed. So they get their seed, and what do? They spend it and they eat it instead of redistributing it into the soil so that it reaps a harvest.
Wow.
That's the principle of the seed.
That would be like, I don't know why I'm stuck on patience, but that would be like you deciding to be patient with me. I take that and I'm very thankful, like, oh, thank you that you were patient with me. But then something comes up and I decide to not be patient with you. I've eaten my seed. I didn't reinvest it back in.
Yeah.
And so I've just used it up. And the other thing too, you might be like, I've tried. I've been patient. I've been loving. I've been this. My, relationship still just isn't working. There was another thing that Rich mentioned, which was the ground. That there is a possibility that the ground is good or not good soil.
Yeah.
And so there is some times where if you've been maybe in a relationship with a friendship or whatever that you're not getting the same return back, it might be just you investing and they're eating all of the seed or whatever. And
if you're sowing into bad soil, you're not doing your homework.
Right?
Because the Bible describes 4 different kinds of soil, okay? A hard path where it can't go in.
Yep. Just
a
get
path
stuck.
where it can go in and it's very, very shallow. Comes up quick, boom. Then the path where it comes up, you sow it, but it comes up with weeds and it chokes it out.
Yep.
And then a soil that's the right soil, and you get a return 30,
60, 100.
30, 60, 100 fold.
Yep.
So when you think about that, yeah, if you've been sowing in a place that's not reaping, reconsider where you're sowing your seed.
Wow. This works for kind of everything too. Money, we kind of don't really need to hit on money because that's a pretty known, like you invest your money.
Yeah, well,
and
look
you
at
get a
peak
return.
performance,
Yep.
right? If you plant your seed into your physical health and fitness, you'll reap it back.
Absolutely. Faith and spirituality. You plant your seed into spending time with the Lord, into reading the Bible, into understanding these principles of truth, and they work in your life. All the principles of truth we're talking about on this show come from the Bible.
Right.
That's
Right.
Rich has just mentioned several passages of scripture
Yeah.
that apply to everyday life, and they are laws that just work. That it's the way everything was designed
Absolutely.
by God.
Absolutely. And if you sow into the spiritual soil, you reap a spiritual harvest.
Absolutely. And I've heard you say this before. If you have a need,
Plant a seed.
plant a seed.
It's true.
If you need a harvest, plant a seed of like kind for that harvest in good ground, in good soil. Make sure that you're doing your homework on those side of things. But if you have a need, plant a seed. And with that, we thank you so much for joining us on this episode of 5 Ideas, and we cannot wait to see you in the next one. Don't forget to sow some seed in yourself by picking up a copy of iTunes, link in the description. And please like this video, comment, let us know what your favorite part was, and subscribe to the channel so you can see all of our future episodes. Have a great week, and we'll see you on the next episode of 5 Ideas.